Good morning and welcome to this webinar. I'm happy to see this many people attending today. This webinar is planned to last for 30 minutes, and after the webinar there will be time for questions as well. And during the webinar you can raise questions as you wish in the chat function. All the questions you want to raise to us, please ask those in the question section. And after the webinar, there will be sent out a link with a recorded version of this webinar. But first, I would like to introduce the participants. Simon, please.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Simon. I have a background as a chef and is now working as the director of production with Simple Feast. Simple Feast is a Danish meal kit company. We do plant-based organic meal kits on a subscription basis. And we deliver to the whole of Denmark, and then we have delivery for the major regions of Sweden, and we just this summer moved into the US market with a production facility in California.
Thank you. And to Jacob.
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Jacob Briggs. I work as a key account manager and packaging specialist at Multiværk in Denmark. Multiværk is supplying machines and process equipment for the food industry, also the medical pharma industry. So, and we have been there for many years, and we have a lot of experience inside this area. My expertise is around nearly 20 years now, selling and implementing new packaging machines for the food industry. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Claus Vandergaard, and I'm a packaging solution manager for UPM Resize, and I'm working with packaging solutions in all kind of ways, from logistic point of view, point of sales, and the food industry. I've been working with label solutions for more than 25 years, and I'm based in the Nordic area of Europe. Today we're going to talk about the case we have with Simple Feast. This case, I will just show the specific case. Here we have the trays Simple Feast are using with the label on. And maybe Simon, as an introduction, could tell us a little bit about why especially this tray was selected for this job.
Yeah, so the tray itself is a cellulose base, so made from wood pulp from a European producer, and it has a PLA, which is a plastic bio-based plastic lining inside. And we chose this tray because we had a need to automate processes in our production, but also to remain on the forefront of sustainability. So at that point, that was the best option we had, was going with this tray. So it's tray sealable, and it after end of life, the user can separate the bioplastic from the cardboard and can actually recycle the cardboard in the normal daily waste. So yeah, that's the tray we have right now.
Yeah, thank you. And regarding the label material, here we have different labels, and this has been made of a paper material called fleur de coton, a food-approved decorative paper. So that's the Resize material used in this application, and the labels, they have been applied by the machinery from Jacob. Can you say something shortly about that?
Yes, shortly, this is a L310 full wrap labeler, a conveyor labeling system, which normally stands on end of line of our packaging machines. It dispenses the label from the top, and then we have a put-on application afterwards on the sides, and then At the bottom, as you will also see later in the movie, there are buses, servo-driven buses, which are putting the label on the bottom of the tray.
Thank you. And Simon, can you just take us back, because before we went to this labeling solution, we had a solution like this.
Yes, so this was our old what we came from before we went into the new solution, which was a manually applicated cardboard sleeve, so a lot thicker and a lot wider, and of course not automated. So this was all put on by hand, which was also a problem that we wanted to solve. On top of the sustainability thing, of course, we also had a wish to automate our processes. So that was the two major things that we were looking for with the solution.
Yeah, great. And when yeah, well, we just have a poll first, just talking about the sustainability, because the change we did was, of course, also a sustainable improvement. So here you see, we just have some few questions just to ask your opinion. So I'll just read it out loud. What are the priorities in your company's sustainability goals? Is that to switch to renewable materials, like we have seen here in the simple fees case, with a PLA inner film and cellulose cardboard, as well as a paper label, which all are coming from renewable sources? Or is it more to close the loop and support the recyclability of the final product? Or is it more focused to reduce the use of raw materials, and with that also reducing the CO2 impact, energy and water consumption? Or maybe it's all about. Please give your votes. All right, thank you. We'll continue. Simon, before with this sleeves solution, you had 9 different ones, and you had a small one as well for the small trays, the big trays. But how is it today now with the changes?
So the way our meals or our boxes work is that we have 2 lines. We have family feast and season feast, and on both are 3-day meal kits. So you get meals for 3 days. We have 3 different tray sizes, which means that before we ended up having 9 sleeves because we had 3 for each day. And that was a necessity because they were already glued on the backside and were manually applicated. But now with the new solution, we only have the 3 that you are showing now, because we have flexibility in the way that we applicate them. So on the small trays, we can turn the direction of the label, so that we can actually utilize only having 1 for each day. So we went from having 9 different items in stock to only having 3.
Yeah, so that's already a good saving. and you have also reduced the sleeve. So when we're looking at the different labels here, we can see you also changed a little bit in sizing.
Yes, yeah, we went from an 88 millimeter to a 40 millimeter width. It was of course a little bit of a balance between keeping the nice design, but also reducing as much as we could. So we went and reduced it with over 50% actually in width.
Yeah, yeah, and what the user is not really seeing is that on the back side you have a much bigger saving, because you're also saving the piece between the labels.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, this label we're using now, the Fleur de Coton food grade, that is a 95 gram paper. So how much have you reduced the label material with this change?
The old label or the old cardboard we had was a 200 gram quality. So with the reduction in both grammage and width, we reduced it by approximately 88% in total grammage.
So quite a nice saving on material.
Yes.
And now with this reduction, I noticed that you mentioned you also reduced your storage space.
Yes, we did. We of course we reduced the amount of items in stock from 9 to 3, so that was already a quite nice improvement there. But also the labels, because they come on rolls, so they don't take up as much space. So one pallet actually fits much more than it did before, meaning that we save on both our warehouse and also on our internal logistics and our delivery cost, of course.
Yeah, so now you get the labels in reels like this. I have a small one, so it's not so heavy. Yeah, that's really nice. And one thing we have been discussing as well is this LCA saving, life cycle and analyzed, where we are looking at how much do we save in grammage is one thing, but what will that turn out in CO2, energy, and water? And that's of course difficult to compare when it's come from different suppliers where you don't have access to that information. But coming to the next step, because I'm sure this is not the last change you have done at Simple Feast, because you're all the time looking ahead. So next time we will also be able to do what we call a label life calculation. It's a calculation like this. You can find it in the handouts. There's a PDF file with the same calculation, which you can have a look at later on. But with this tool, we are able also to give you some figures on what are the savings on CO2, energy, and water consumption when changing from one label material to another one. And we believe not specifically in this case, but for many other retailers, there will be much more focus on getting the scope 3 data when you supply to Co-op or some of the big supermarket chains. So we're sure also this information will be much more important in the future than before. But you have an example. This example in the handouts is just a standard label paper to a more sustainable paper. But beside that, Simon, this is just talking about reducing. We also have this reuse, recycle, and when you apply the labels on your packaging, you're left with a backing paper. Can you tell us how do we handle that?
Yeah, so we have on the line, we have a point where we collect all of the used backing paper, and then we collect it, and then when we have a certain amount, we send it back to you guys to use it again for new backing paper.
Yeah, and we are really happy for that. And so Resize is a concept we have set up to take responsibility for the waste which are left at the users of the labels. So as soon as Simon have applied the labels, we take back this liner on the reels, and we make sure that it's reused for new backing paper. And if you want it, you can, for some of the products, get a liner with PCR content, where it's the same liner going in a loop. But of course, we're not getting enough back of what we're sending out, so therefore we're not able to on all products yet. But we just have a small poll again. And if you are a label user, would you be ready to recycle your paper release liner through a Resize? Yeah, give your opinion. in the poles. So are you ready to send it back to us to ensure that it goes into a closed loop? Yeah, I hope everyone have had time to select yes or no. Going on, talking about this reduce, reuse. I just want to mention as well, with the selection you've done with this flooded carton food, we're also talking about using a material from a renewable source. I'll just show a short video so you can see how it's working at Simple Feast. And maybe, Jacob, you can comment on the video. What we see.
Of course. So what you will see is a L312 full web labeler on the end of line, standing and labeling a tray with a full web label from top, and we will then push it on the sides and then afterwards on the bottom. But the label or the tray will come from the left, as you can see there on the blue conveyor belt. And
I'm not sure it's coming up yet.
Yes, I can see the video now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so everything's good. As you can see here, this very wide label. We can actually dispense a label with backing paper up to 500 millimeters. So a very wide label you can dispense on your tray. The tray is moving from left to right, and we dispense it from top, and then our unit, our push-on unit, is pushing it on the sides, and then you can actually just see in here you can see the process moving underneath the tray and pushing the label on the bottom of the tray. So this is a very versatile system. You can also have a zero downtime system where you have two of these after each other. So you can prepare one with labels, another label if that's possible, or this label. So you're actually running zero downtime on these machines. Concerning changing of label, there is a splicing unit also, as Simon is using, and he's then reducing the time of changing the label also with this splicing too.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just have another question for Simon. With this new labeler, you're not only saving on the packaging material, you're also saving packaging material and storage. You also had some financial savings, right?
Yes, of course, it is an automated process. So on our end of line, we went from having 2 people on each line handling 2 to 2.5 person on each line handling the end of line packaging to now only having 1.5 person. So it was a save of around 40% in manpower that we can then move to other more value adding tasks, because manually applying a sleeve isn't that value adding for our product. So we wanted to move hands to where they give some value to the product.
Yeah, and also just the cost price going from this one to that one, you also made a saving.
Yes, there was a saving of around 50% on buying the packaging material as well.
Ah, that's great. That's also a part of the sustainability, when you can improve and at the same time reduce your costs. In the daily use, how does it work with the different tray sizes? You have to go from this one to that one and back again. Is that easy, or maybe Jakob can say that?
Yes, of course, and that's actually reflecting on what the video and what I told before. It's a very simple system to change labels, especially if you have the splicing unit. So then you can change the label, and also the tray. It's on our HMI. You can push a button, and then you can see where you have to do the changes on the machine. and you just do the changes, and you're ready. You're off with the new tray and a new label.
Ah, great. And the same when you go from day 1 to day 3 or 2, and how does that work, Simon? That's also quite simple.
For me, it would probably take half an hour, but for the daily operators, they only use a couple of minutes, and maybe 7 or 8 minutes if they also have to change the tray size. So it's relatively fast when you work with it every day.
Yeah, great to hear. Jacob, I was just wondering, now with this investment at Simple Feast, how do you see the future for this users of this full wrap liners?
We see a great future. Of course, we're also producing these lines, but the future is also within the fully automatic capacity. A capacity, let's say, over 50 packs per minute, and so on and so forth, will be more and more seen in our industry. And we can run up to 150 packs per minute on such a machine, fully automatic. So we could, if Simple Feast didn't have this solution and they have to make, let's say, over 100 packs per minute manually, they will have a lot of people there. So of course, we see it's future-proof concerning the labeling system and also how you change the label system, the versatility in the label. Maybe, Klaus, you can also show some of these label shapes that we are actually dispensing on our machines, because these are very different than a normal standard label. So, and this is possible. This is the versatility of the machine. So we can dispense special labels to your needs.
Thank you very much. And when we're looking at that was the machinery part, but when we're also looking at sustainable label solution, we see the market, how it's changing all the time. And from the label side, we also see with a limited investment in the future, you can really change to meet the new demands in the market. So if you suddenly say you need to go to a mono material, it has to be a filmic some kind. You can also even use a transparent label material on a tray, which is also in the same mono material. So the flexibility with this kind of a line is quite high. We also see a different change in the market now. That in UK we have this request for 30% recycled PCR content in the label material. That means just if you are supplying to that market, you would need to change the label material to avoid this extra tax they are announcing from April next year. So the PCR is something we will see absolutely is coming more in the market, and with this machinery it's quite easy to do those changes as well. I know that also other countries will follow this in the coming years. Another area is also just working with simple labels, where you have the standard paper label. You want to just to make it better than it is today, and we can use the handout I shared to you. So just going from a standard label in market today to a NXT grade. In that way, you can get this reduction. And what you saw on this handout, you will save 70% energy, 11% water, and 90% CO2. So that's also a way to work around and do the current solution just more sustainable. And don't forget as well, we have this half cycle where you can send back the liner as well to make sure it's go into a closed loop. But we also see in the future there'll be much more coming. We were looking at fossil-free adhesive for Simple Feast. We have been looking at the wash-off, and that's really what we see is happening a lot in the market. There's a need that you can recycle your packaging and are able to wash off the label in different conditions. There's not a kind of a standard in the market yet, so it's important to also understand the conditions the label have to be washed off under. And it could also be that Simon changed the process and suddenly start to apply take deep frozen products and need to label those. And then it's quite easy also to go to a deep freeze adhesive, so you have a tag as well. So with the labels you have quite many opportunities. We also see a lot is happening now, especially with the pet trays in the market. There's much more focus on collecting those and recycling them, and that's one of the areas where we see a clear move to wash off. And then even now we had a case here locally where we had a metal container for takeaways, where they also wanted to do reuse packaging, and for that purpose they also went for a wash off adhesive, just to make sure that the metal trays are circular as well. But that's just the label part. I think, Jakob, do you have some few other areas where you can see
yeah, we can touch some of them. What we see at the moment as a supplier to the food industry is, of course, plastic reducing. We reduce the plastic as much as possible. We can do it on our machines, on our thermoformers, for example, but we're also looking into monomaterials with liners, just to avoid these two components films that we see. So we have a monomaterial that we can reuse in the households also in the future. So of course we see also a possibility to vacuumize a lot of products more. Exactly. Skin pack is one of these possibilities where you do not use MAP. So you also reduce your cost on MAP, and also looking into the environment if it's possible concerning the products. So I haven't seen in my nearly 20 years of experience, I haven't seen going so fast as it is the last 2 years. So it's very exciting, and it's promising that we can deliver some very good and environmental friendly packages in the future. But I also see plastic is a future. Of course, I'm at a company using the machines for plastic, but there are some very effective sealing and also barrier properties we need to look into. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's for sure. It's everything is happening just faster and faster than we saw just 5 years back, and I'm sure that trend is not going to stop. Yeah, that was what we had on the agenda today. I'll just recap some of the areas. I was talking about this label life in the handouts, which we see as an important tool to support the sustainability communication, especially also on point of sales. Now, where we see this focus on scope 3 and much more focus on the packaging and the product impact on the environment coming in the future. We talked about a range of sustainable label solutions which are available today, but also an unknown solution which will be needed in the future. And I'm sure this development will happen even faster also in our area to meet the demands from the markets. And yeah, we will all do what we can to follow the consumers' demand to sell our products, and that's why we need the labels and why we need the machinery to support the final products. Also by combining label life, new solution, meeting the new legislation in EU, the food safety, we can for sure also support in the future. I didn't talk much about food safety, but when Simon is using a product like that, we're also issuing a DOT, so he has the food safety in place. Yeah, I would really like to thank you all for listening today. If you got interested in testing some of the products from Simple Feast, go to the website and you can order samples or products and use it at home. It's nice.
Very good.
We have I'll just check if we have some questions as well, and then we'll take those. I just need to open it, sorry. The question here is, could you mention again the mono material you talked about previously concerning the changing regulation? Yeah, well, I think this mono material is both looking at the label, where we have the opportunity really to meet almost any kind of packaging material. If it's a PE, PP, or PET-based packaging film, we'll be able to find a label material which also match that material. And as Jacob said, you also have a lot of knowledge within the mono film for packaging. Can you comment on that?
Yes, of course. What we see is the mono materials are, of course, polyester, PET, polypropylene, PP, and also mono PE. So the polyolefins, PP and PE, and the polyester as mono material is at the moment the plastic types that are moving ahead. Yes.
Good, thank you. Then we have well, thank you for the lovely presentation. Thank you for that. We also have a question here. Which is the major difference with the Ravenwood system? Is this last one not more recyclable? What's the difference? I would say both is a label system, but what you see is looking at Simple Feast application, you have this really nice matte surface, and that's something you wouldn't get with this other system. But looking at the recyclability, it can also be recycled. But you also have the opportunity with the label to change to a wash off. You can change to a removable adhesive, a deep freeze adhesive, and you have the opportunity again to this one where you have this special shape on the label, or well, yeah, you can also have this clear label. So and looking at the selection of label material, I believe you will have a much wider range of solutions looking forward as well. Then I have a new question here. Have you already updated the RAF Wash PP Clear adhesive to be approved for Returpack? We need this adhesive to be approved for Sweden. I can say this is ongoing all the time, and that's one of the areas where we are working on improving the adhesives. Right now, that we see a demand in the market for wash off at 60 degrees, and for the time being, it's quite difficult to get adhesive solutions to wash off at lower temperature. So there's a lot of development ongoing, and I'm sure you will see them just around the corner coming. But it's a lot of testing, and the big issue in the development is there's not a default wash off technology in Europe. So it's a lot of different demands we need to meet as well. So but that's absolutely coming, looking forward as well for Swedish Returpack. Yeah. Let's see, do we have more questions? Oh, sorry, there's one here I missed. Do you map pack in the tray? How many days shelf life?
In the tray that we use,
Yes.
yes, yeah, we do map pack it. Of course, the barrier properties of it is not as good as if it was a normal plastic, traditional plastic. But I know that the manufacturer of the tray promises shelf life of up to 11 days. So it's a little bit up to also the product, but I know that they guarantee 11 days on the product.
Thank you. Then we have another question here. Dear Simon, how do you apply the new label onto a box? I'm not sure exactly what that means. So it could be maybe if it's now this is a tray, but if it was a box, would you be able to apply that? Maybe Jacob could say that as well.
Yes, of course we can do that. I think that the question is more concerned afterwards, maybe how they apply a label on the complete box. I could imagine, because if it's rectangular, if it's a bit shaped, it's round, we can of course label that on the machinery. But if we're talking about the carton boxes afterwards, they normally have a white label. But maybe Simon, you can just explain what you're doing there.
Yeah, right now we have a.
It could only be on the top, or that's a full wrap as well.
So we have different kinds of shapes and of trays in different shapes. We can of course dispense a label on. It depends on what the customer actually need on this, and also of course the capacity and how the shape of the tray is.
Yeah,
thank you. But we only use it for these 3 types of trays that we have right now.
Yeah, so those 2 and 3 days, right?
Yes, and they are applied as we saw in the video earlier.
Yeah. Then we have a new question here. Where can I find a list of materials that can be used for full wrap labeling? I would say please get in touch with us, because there's so many solutions, so we don't have a complete list, and also depends on what is the demand. Is there something especially we need to look after? Does it have to be removable? Should it be deep freeze adhesive? Should it wash off? But you can find more information on our website. But to get some detailed input, I would be happy to support you. So please get in touch, and we'll give you more specific solutions. Maybe also we can give some information looking ahead as well, so you're prepared for what is coming from the EU or other places.
This is also very important. I think with this strip adhesive, we can put on the labels, or you can put on the labels, and then we apply it directly on the strip. The adhesive is on where the package should be, or the label should be on the package. This is a very good solution. Actually, also when we dispense, if it was a complete adhesive label, it would be much harder really to get the right shape of the label around the packet. So playing with this, with the strips, and also playing with the perforation. I know you have some labels which are perforated also, and you can actually rip it off and look at the back side to have some print there. This is a very nice solution.
Yeah, thank you. We have more questions. This one goes to you, Simon. Do you use any food absorber in the trays?
You mean like a cloth in the bottom to, or how is that? Yeah, no, we don't use that. What we pack in the trays are very different and versatile. It's everything from a stew to cooked lentils, and I mean it can be basically everything that we put in the tray. So so with the products that we have, we don't have any need for that.
All right, thank you. We have one more question for you, Simon. Does the PLA layer in the tray affect the recycling of the pulp of the tray, or are the two to be separated by the consumer?
They are to be separated. I know you have a sample there, Klaus, so it's almost that you could show it. If you rip the corner, then you can actually rip the PLA layer off the cardboard itself. Yeah, I'm giving you a technical job to do, but yes, you can actually take off the PLA layer and then you put that into. Yeah, it is quite easy. Yeah, and then the cardboard part is pure clean cardboard that you can recycle. So you can separate it. That was also very important for us, that the end of use experience was good.
Yeah, thank you. And now we have another question that's also for us, Simon. How easy is it to remove? Oh, sorry. How easy is it to remove the label from the tray to get the product from the? No. How easy is it to remove the label from the tray to get the product? From the video, it looks like it was applied over the sides as well. So,
yeah, it is applied, but what we do on the label is that we have this adhesive annulment, so we actually have some areas of the label that doesn't have any adhesive, which means that it only sticks to where it's supposed to stick, basically. So so on ours we have adhesive on the sides where the pressing unit is pressing it onto the tray, and then we have adhesive on the bottom, making sure that it's to the bottom. So everything else is free from adhesive. Of course, we have to be a little bit creative with our solution because we use the same label for different types of trays. So the adhesive annulment was, we had to be a little bit creative, but if you only used it for one, then you could get the annulment to be perfect, so that you don't have anything that sticks to the foil where you don't want it to stick. So in my opinion, it's very easy to separate it from the top foil of the tray.
Yeah, I can just take the sample and now there's no top lid, but on this part there's no adhesive. I like that. I got another question again, and that was how did you remove the top only? And I guess that was a PLA layer on the tray. So yeah. I simply just peel the corner like this, and then it's quite easy to take off. I guess that was how the question was. And now you have a pure paper-based material you can recycle. I think that was it. There's one question here. How many designs? Sorry, how many can do this label designs for full wraps? Well, I would say for that part, we have about 2,400 printing houses in Europe who buys our material, and they can all do different shapes, and they can do different types. It could be filmic, it can be paper. So that's really not many limitations. So if you need a label, so it should be about 2,400 potential print houses to supply in Europe. Yeah, let's check if there's any more questions. Yeah, sorry, just one more. The multivac applicator, are these machines limited to food or suitable for other industries as well?
They are suited for every industry. Of course, the food industry has, we have some IP classes because of cleaning, but we have these labeling systems in all industries, also in our industry, black industry, in the medical industry, pharma industry. So we are implementing it on each fully automatic line where we need to apply a label on top of a full wrap system. It could also be a standard labeling system. We also have these. So yeah.
Thank you very much. That was the end of the questions. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for listening to us today. And thank you to Simon and Jacob to support this webinar. Really pleased to work with you on this project. Have a good day.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.